Welcome back to What's Your Take? Real talk on leadership and life. I'm your host, Dr. Nikki, the DBA pharmacist and founder of FitBiz Global Solutions. This is part 2 of our conversation on leading with purpose, tech, and wellness. In part 1, we explored purpose and technology. And today we're picking up right where we left off, wellness and leadership. To continue the conversation, I'm joined again by Alcindor Bonamy, General Manager and Professional Project Engineer at a major petroleum company in the Caribbean, and Zanda, Director of Health, Safety and Environment at a major power company in the Caribbean. So I'm going to ask, what's your take? What does true culture of wellness look like at work, especially for those leading teams? I can start with Al.
Okay, so I'm going to put it very simple, and I'm thinking about this as I say it. A true culture of wellness, it isn't massages or smoothies or slogans. It's, from an engineering standpoint, it's the intentional design of a workplace where the system protects the people and not the other way around. So what does that mean? That means then it shouldn't be where the people protect the system. And most organizations treat wellness like an add-on. But real wellness is structural. It has to be embedded, right? It shows up the way work is designed, where it's communicated. So for leaders, what does that look like? It's built into the workflow, right? Not offered as a compensation for burnout, after the fact. So a healthy culture doesn't say, here's yoga, but keeps the unreasonable workload, right? It continuously ensures that it's embedded into the system. Another point is, what it means. Workloads, it needs to be sustainable. It has to be, again, clarity. As leaders, we have to continuously work to ensure that we provide clarity in the workplace and not chaos. It needs to be rhythmic. It needs to be realistic timelines. We talked earlier about being smart, specific, measurable, realistic, achievable, timely. There has to be some psychological space. You need to be able to think and recover. Also, as leaders, we need to model calm more than we talk about it. Teams don't follow wellness policies. They follow the leader's energy. So it's important as a leader that you regulate your team, show composure under pressure. Because when you're in a state of flux, that puts your whole team in a state of flux. And we know nothing happens there because that's when creativity dies. And we need people to be creative. We need to be able to communicate transparently, and we need to set boundaries without guilt. That's when wellness is truly in motion. So your presence, being there to your team, is a signal that sets the emotional temperature of the team that you have. And, just thinking about this, because wellness is very dear to me, and it's the elimination of unnecessary friction in the workplace. Again, as a leader, you need to be able to adapt. You need to be able to see what's going on with your team and adapt because of it. And a true wellness culture, it removes endless rework. I do not like reworks. I do not like recycles. Do not like duplicated tasks. We should not have siloed communication. We should not have unnecessary meetings. I remember there was a show called The Queen on Netflix, and the Queen, Her Majesty, would always have meetings standing up. Why? Because if you were standing up in a meeting, it was like 20 minutes. The meeting is as long as you could stand. And so that ensured that meetings were focused and to the point. And we need to ensure that we use tech that makes life easier instead of harder.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. I like the piece about the Queen. Netflix, that's a strategy. I actually believe in walking meetings. Yeah, it's something that we don't often get a lot to do. I think I suggested that in the past, some of my workplaces, and what I got back is, I don't like the sun, because we live in sunny climates. But I always feel that walking, having a meeting, you're killing two birds with one stone. You're getting your wellness in there. Plus, you're able to think as you walk, But that also would limit the time that you spend in that meeting. So I also heard from what you said is prevention. Yeah. Prevention is key. We want to avoid burnout. You need to build the wellness into the corporate culture. Okay. And also it rings home that when leaders model balance, rest, and clear boundaries, it gives their teams permissions to do the same. Like you say, they will see and do what you do, not what you say necessarily. And Z, I want to give you an opportunity to give your take on this question. What does a true culture of wellness look like at work, especially for those leading teams? And it's good for you since you're in health and safety. Over to you.
I like that you say wellness. You didn't just say health. I like how you make it broad, real broad. Because wellness is, a lot of times, I guess sometimes you have to sit down with your staff and ask why you need to work so much overtime. And I guess that's when people start to say, you're starting to get into my financial business. Because working too much it really burns you out. Not taking enough vacation time. Jobs are starting to make people take vacation. Now they have a cutoff point, which is really good. So it forces, especially I found, women would take more vacation than men. And I work in a male-dominated field. I have always worked in male-dominated fields. And so a lot of men tend to only take vacation if they're forced to if they're married, really. A lot of single men, I don't notice they take vacation as much. And so it's really great when jobs now force them to take that time off, because if it ain't vacation time, it becomes sick time. And you don't have that much sick time. You have less sick time than vacation time.
Good point.
So, that's one point. So, you would need to look at that. So with wellness, you need financial wellness. Let's discuss. I remember my brother once upon a time. I remember the story very fondly. I just started working. And I said, all I need $200. I'll say, Z, let's sit down and talk. You're an engineer. Why you need $200, Zanda? That's very concerning. So he went through my budget with me. And I never asked my brother. I knew how, if you don't need it right now, you kick that down the road, eh? What I need is food and water. I got food and water, you need light and all that type stuff. But what you don't need right now, you learn to deal with that later. She taught me how to save money, and people need someone to sit down with them and talk to them honestly. Okay? About financial wellness as well. Because now that influences your holistic approach to wellness. You would say, I know people after a while, they don't want to work all those hours. They're not going to allow themselves to get burnt out because they don't want to get sick. Okay? The money, they start to now go higher in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're trying to reach that self-actualization now. They're not just interested in money. They want peace and tranquility, calm, So, yeah, that's what I think that's what it would look like at work. More things about financial wellness, more talks about how you can make better use of your time, how you can't carry the Brinks truck when you pass on to the other realm. All of these things are what people need. People need that right now. In certain countries, because people work a lot and they have a high rate of, other things that happen, they actually allow them to experience what it may feel like when you pass on, because they want people to live in the now. They want them to understand that you need to be here now, because when you're not here, you're gone. So people at work also want to feel included. Transparency helps with wellness in the workplace. People want to feel some level of stability. And if they feel unstable, if they don't feel safe, they don't feel well. So all of those things are things that I see as wellness in a workplace.
That's great. I want to highlight the part about PDO. Like, a lot of people don't realize you need to focus on yourself. Like, seriously. And when you talk about financial wellness as well. But I do know that companies in recent years became motivated. I don't know how many other organizations did this, but back in the day, say if you don't take all your PDO at the end of the year, you could try and cash it out. Obviously, that's not really a good financial plan for any organization, because now you don't know what your end of your budget is going to look like if everyone decided to cash out their PDO. So then they start capping it. They start saying, well, you have to take so many at a certain time, or if you do a cash payout, you can get a reduction. So it becomes whereby it's more financially sound to take the PDO in time than to try to get that payout. You see what I'm saying? So that kind of led organizations, or cost impact of you actually want to take out all your PDO. Imagine so many employees, we all decide at the end of the day we want cash out because why? We want to buy nice things for Christmas. So by the organization saying, you know what, you need to go take your PTO because you're not going to get all this money, or capping so many, or making you take so many a year. Yeah, that helped to reset. But I think for the organization, it came from a financial standpoint. It should have come from a wellness standpoint. That would have been a better way to sell that. But, for employees, for leaders, anybody, it's not about being available 24/7. It's about being present, focused, and energized when it counts. And so I know you guys touched on it, but I just want to ask that final question in this segment before we wrap up. And I know you said it, I just want to reiterate it. How do you personally protect your energy or reset when things get hectic, you personally as a leader? Al, you can start.
Okay, great. So I will answer that question in terms of how I reset myself based upon what you basically talked about just now, which is companies in terms of what they do. Unfortunately for businesses, they follow the velocity of money. And it's then ties back to psychologically what needs to happen inside of a business in order for persons to perform at their optimal. And it's recognized then that you get diminishing returns from persons being there constantly. Mind overheats, so to speak. And if the mind is not functioning properly, then the body now shuts down, and then the body then now impacts the soul. So that's where we now need to come back to the point here in terms of resetting. So for me, protecting my energy is not an afterthought, right? It's a leadership discipline. I treat my own energy the way chemical engineering treats a system. You monitor the inputs, you control the variables, and you never ignore early warning signs. So what does that look like in reality? I have to pause, I breathe, I create space. So if a system is under stress, you need to stabilize it before you optimize. And the moment of sitting still, becoming still, prevents emotional runaway reactions, I phrase it. So I protect my mornings like a non-negotiable boundary. And even before I get there, I set a time. And so I treat, for me, 9 p.m. I remember my parents would send me to bed. It's 9 o'clock, time to go to bed. And sometimes you go to bed before 9 o'clock. It's like 8:30, 8 o'clock. I'm sending you to bed. Well, guess what? 9 o'clock is the new midnight for me. So that means 9 o'clock is like, listen, everything needs up being shut down. And so me personally, 7 o'clock, 7:30, time for me to shut it down. In fact, even my work knows that, listen, when you see 7:30 p.m., Al is going to shut it down. If you send him an email, he might not read it until maybe if he gets up, maybe 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe you go to use the bathroom, maybe you check emails, etc. Why? Because you have to set these boundaries. And so for me, when I wake up, my first 30 to 60 minutes is to look at setting my trajectory for the day. So that's a time of quiet reflection, prayer, grounding, and meditation. For me, that's waking up, looking at scripture, verse, reading my Bible, trying to reconnect and be thankful for all that's there, reviewing what's my intention, then setting the emotional tone for the day in terms of how I want to lead, because that's my internal calibration. Again, because I want to, step away also from the noise, because when pressure rises, things get complicated, clarity drops. The ability to be creative, creativity drops as well. And that continues unless you can intentionally step back. And sometimes that means, taking a walk during the day. In the morning, sometimes it means taking a stretch. So where I've come up now, it helps my back. I stand with my 2 feet shoulder width apart, take my 2 hands, and I stretch down and put my hands about 12 inches in front of my toes. And I stretch and I hold that pose, lift my neck up, just stretching out my back to give my body a good stretch. And I do that at least 3 to 4 times a day. And I pass it on to even some of my team members at work, and they're saying, yeah, this works. This this is really good, because it's kind of like a yoga type exercise. Well, it is actually yoga in some instances. And just clearing my mind away from screens occasionally. Listening to music, but not just music. I listen to now frequencies. Why? Because I remember there's a scripture in the Bible where, and again, of course, I'm religious. Christianity is my faith. And Saul would have these evil spirits come upon him, and David would string the harp, right? And when he stringed the harp, then the evil spirits would be subdued. And it, God revealed to me, that's frequency. That's what frequency is. That's what it does. So for me, listening to frequencies helps with my clarity. So for me, this isn't just trying to escape. It's like cooling down your mind, cooling the entire system. Your body's a system, and you can't solve problems being overheated or overheated mind. And finally, I always try to reconnect to purpose, right? So nothing resets me faster than remembering why I'm leading. Why am I doing this? Because when you lead from purpose, not pressure, energy renews really instead of depletes. And purpose really is a constant that stabilizes your system when everything else fluctuates. A thing I try to do often, like I told my team even recently, think about where you are at this point in time, today, of this recording, right? You ask yourself, what were you doing a year before? If you could remember at this point in time. And some of you might remember what you were doing like a year before. And just ask yourself, have I grown? Have I improved? Right? And again, we're talking about wellness. You really ask yourself, well, did I do something better in terms of wellness? Am I taking better care of myself? Am I doing more exercise? And if the answer is yes, instead of going to the gym maybe once a week, you're going twice or 3 times. Hey, that's better. It may not be every day. Or you ask yourself, am I walking more than I did in the past? So all those things is what helps you to reconnect and to improve. And so those are just a few of the things that I do. There could be a bit more, but in the essence of time, I will hand it back over to you, Doctor.
Yeah, that's very insightful. I like your tip, the wellness tip about stretching. That's pretty good. I like how it all ties in as well to focusing on yourself, and that whole concept you mentioned that piggybacked off the PDO and how organizations, sometimes have to leave with their pockets. But excellent points. I'm going to let Z chime in and answer the question, how do you personally protect your energy or reset when things get hectic? What's your take, Z?
Okay, Dr. Nikki. That was really insightful. I really like that. That was truly a real Kemi. My version, I tend to compartmentalize a lot. That's what I tend to say. So I'm going to say it now. I've learned how to compartmentalize. Some things can go in the drawer. You close that drawer and you can pick it up later. Yeah, you don't have to deal with anything like that right now. Okay, so that's one thing. That's one thing. Other thing I like to, with food is a way to actually make you more mindful. Certain cultures, how they drink tea, they make it a process. It's a serious process just to drink tea, and I guess sometimes I may have my coffee, or even that could be a nice reset. I don't always drink coffee. Got more into my smoothies, green smoothies, drinking those things. I feel like, okay, I'm doing my body good. I feel good. Also, you like to increase your exercise, you want to do more exercising. That always makes you feel good, because what is it, Nicole? It's the endorphins. Yeah, always makes you feel really. And also just watching positive things. I am big on guided meditation. I've shared several of them even with you all. I really believe that works. Even if you do a 5-minute reset, that could do a lot for your body and your mental state. And also, sometimes you just have to get out. You have to break your routine. You have to create new pathways in your brain by doing something different, something that's challenging. So, but my key thing for me, the top two are compartmentalization and guided meditation.
Those are some good points. Very good points. I also like to look at hydration and food. As part of FitBiz Global, we do focus on wellness products that you can find at fitbizwellness.com. But I do drink coffee, especially I've started taking mushroom coffee as well. I believe that it really helps you. So when you go to conferences, when you work, a lot of times when you work in person, even working remotely, having coffee, the afternoon tea. We lived in England, we all lived in England. And maybe one didn't realize it then, but that afternoon tea really helps to reset as well. I'm also into smoothies. Also juicing in terms of, green juices, beets juices, things that help my whole well-being as well. And that's been really effective. Meditation, whatever rituals you yourself may find as more important in your life. Prayer and realizing God is your ultimate guide. Yeah. And that's in everything. Your leadership, your wellness. Once you know where your strength coming from, you know where you're going. Because wellness really ties everything together. Purpose, tech, and leadership. When you're grounded in your why, using the right tools and taking care of yourself and your people, that's when real leadership happens. And this has been such an insightful conversation that the section on wellness was just, it's like we really needed to bring some stuff out. The conversation has been practical, honest, and exactly what modern leadership needs more of. If there's one thing I'm taking away is that purpose, technology, and wellness aren't separate lanes. No, they are part of one road towards sustainable, human-centered leadership. Before we close, I'd like to take a quick take from each of you. Just one thing. What's one thing every modern leadership should do more of starting today? Just like maybe a few words, just one quick thing they could just take away. I'm just going to go Al first.
I would say you reset your internal state each morning. Step away from the noise to regain clarity. Stay anchored to your purpose and reduce emotional entropy. So what does that mean? Stillness isn't weakness, it's calibration. Yeah. If I had to sum it up, right? The one thing, if anybody's listening, purpose is the constant that stabilizes your system when everything else starts to fluctuate. And for me, my purpose is knowing what God's purpose is for you here as human beings.
Amen.
It's to worship Him in spirit and in truth. And for me, when you put that as your center, everything else falls into place. Thank you.
Fantastic. Siegel, what's that one thing every modern leader should do more of starting today?
Okay. Yes, they could. I'll made a good point, I guess. Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, for those who aren't religious, well.
Like I tell you, prayer, meditation, oneness.
Yep.
Just finding your purpose as to why you're here, like Al said. And a lot of people could only function with their purpose. You could only get along so far without knowing what you want.
Mm-hmm.
After a while, everybody asks why. The why. Because you run up against some hard knocks and you just really want to give up. There's something inside you. Doesn't matter if you believe in God or you don't, but there's something inside you that springs up that helps you to go forward. It's when you lose that passion that you can't go anywhere anymore. You need to find it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just deep that right there. I think that this has, like I said, been a very insightful, reflective conversation, and the wellness part, not enough people talk about it. I know people talking about it, but they're not really talking about it. It's like a nice little banner, somewhere. Oh, we're going to talk about health and wellness. But when you actually get into the depth of it, you really want to focus on wellness. I think we covered that here today. So I want to thank you both for joining me again. And thank you all, listeners, for tuning in. If something in this conversation resonated with you, DM us your take, share a leadership win, or tag the show using What's Your Take podcast. You can find Z at E Squared Solutions on Facebook, or you can find both of them on LinkedIn using their names. And if you're looking for more ways to lead well in life, business, and wellness, visit fitbizsolutions.com or explore our wellness store at fitbizwellness.com, because leadership starts with how you show up for yourself and for others. Thank you for tuning in to What's Your Take? Real Talk on Leadership and Life. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love for you to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. Share with someone who'd appreciate it, and join the community at fitbizsolutions.com or on Instagram at fitbiz.solutions, Facebook at Fitbiz Solutions, and YouTube at Fitbiz Solutions Media. New episodes drop every Thursday with more powerful guests and stories on the way. Until then, keep evolving and leading with purpose, because that's how we build the kind of leadership this moment demands. And always keep asking, what's your take?